happy Friday, welcome to Deering Towers. It's time for some cocktails. Cocktails seems a bit strong, with time for some Friday night drinks. They're going to make up for us, and we decided tonight to ride on the gin bus. 2 gin drinks. We had gin last week actually, with champagne in the French 75s, which were spectacular, I think you'll agree. But we're going something a little bit more kind of savoury, a little bit more, I don't want to say sophisticated, but yeah, savoury tasting, with a couple of gin drinks. Gibson, gin and tonic. You might have heard of at least the latter. But that's what we're having tonight, a Gibson and a gin and tonic. I mentioned Gibson in passing when we were doing vodka martinis the other week. But then a couple of people got in touch saying, first of all, tell us more about Gibson. And also, and we've seen this as well, it's because of the Queen's Gambit. Beth Harmon, with drinking a Gibson with her stepmom on a plane, and it seemed pretty classy, and it is. It's a really, the funny thing about Gibson is these days you get all kinds of martinis. You get, I don't know, an appletini or something and martini, kind of sock martini, this kind of thing. A Gibson isn't called a martini, but it's like the closest, it's closer to a classic martini than a vodka martini, for example. So I'm going to make one of those, and a gin and tonic, you might have heard of it. So I think I might have mentioned it, you might have heard of it. I'm going to make a gin and tonic. So we've got ice, lots of ice in the house. We've got ice, I'm going to put the ice in the old mixing glass. I don't know if you saw, we used this before, it's a plastic glass with recipes on it, which we've now learned, so that's handy. But anyway, and that's good because it's also been in the dishwasher a lot, so those recipes aren't going to be there for long. So that's where the Gibson's going to get mixed up. And then into this lovely glass, small cocktail glasses making their first appearance. Absolutely beautiful. There's 3 of these left. For some reason, someone in this house lost hold of one of these a little while back, and we don't know what happened. Now, to reiterate what I said when I made the vodka martini, you could put your cocktail glasses in the freezer to get them nice and cold. Always good to make a martini with ice in the glass, because just a little bit of melt water smooth things off. Not much, you don't want cold water in the drink. You just want as much melt water in glass as you'd have Angostura bitters in one of those drinks where you put the bitters in, roll them around and take it out again. We also need ice in this glass, just so that there's ice in the gin and tonic. I don't know if you've heard of a gin and tonic, but we'll get to that. So, let's get some gin going. Tanqueray, our favourite straightforward gin. I think the thing with the gin and tonic, I'm making the Gibson here right now, but the thing with the gin and tonic is that in the 80s, it was like a long drink with ice in it, made of Gordon's gin and slimline Schweppes from a little bottle, a little slice of lemon, and it was horrible. It's a horrible drink. It's what my mum used to have on holiday. And I'd taken ice on that and I hated it. And it wasn't just because I was 11. It was kind of, there was something kind of mean and miserable about it. It still tasted Victorian. At the very least, it tasted a bit like 1981. And that made me sad. And I think that the thing that's happened since then is that people have woken up to the wonder of gin. They've got really excited about it. And now you can get all kinds of exciting gins and all kinds of exciting variants and flavoured gins and botanicals and good slow gins and pink gins and stuff. But what I want to do here is something a bit moderate, where you do it classic but do it well. So I've put 2.5 shots of gin in the Gibson. It's too wet to do the thing. It should go, but it didn't. So, put it over there. So 2.5 in there, slightly generous, basically 2.5. That's 5, but I halved it to 2.5, but I was quite generous. And now we're going to put some vermouth in. Now normally this would be a half shot, but because it's a gin martini, I'm going to put in even less than that. Like frankly, just going to shine a bright light through it, as they say. Actually, I could show you that if you can see that. But it's probably about a quarter of the shot. It needs a bit, otherwise it's just a massive glass of gin. So that's going in there. That's 5 gins to 1 vermouth. I have no idea. Get in touch. But yeah, I say 5 to 1, but I did more gin with less vermouth, so it's pretty much meaningless. The important thing is loads of gin. And Tanqueray, great, really straightforward, really nice. Nothing fancy about it, but I don't like Gordon's at all. It's got that taste of misery. And then in the kind of 1981 version, Gordon's got a bitter unhappiness to it. The lemon, it's just wrong. Just can't get on with the lemon. The ice has suddenly gone, and you've got a glass full of tonic and melt water and sadness. So we're not going to have that today, and yet we're not going to go crazy. The other thing you do with a gin and tonic is kind of put peppercorns in it and serve it up in a big bowl like this. We might do that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. We might do it in the summer. because it's a nice big long drink, and also it looks like a wine glass, but that's more than a pint. It's a fantastic glass when you're drinking, but not today. Let's keep it classic. We're going to do it in a tumbler. That's the tumbler you can see there. Plenty of ice. I'm going to put even more ice in there because, as my wise wife was saying, the thing about gin and tonic is when you finish it, you want the ice to still be in there. Make it cold, not watering it down. So, I don't believe in lemon in a gin and tonic, but I do believe in citrus. I think your basic citrus, I've got a small cut on the end of that finger. I just touched that, and I'd just like to say at this point, so I would favour always lime. Entry level citrus for a gin and tonic is lime, and loads of it. Be generous with the citrus. Squeeze the quarter of the lime, chuck that in. Take another, it's not a quarter actually, it's just a little kind of wedge. Squeeze the next one a bit, rub it around the edge of the glass, get some lime on the edge of the glass, squeeze it a bit more, chuck it in. Loads of ice, loads of lime, and then if you've got lime juice on your fingertips here, just put it on there. Oh my God! So that's the basic one there. Now, popular gins and tonics, you get kind of fever, this is very fancy now, Fever Tree tonic, and it's nice, it's good stuff. But I think Schweppes is absolutely fine too. And I don't use any of the fancy flavoured ones or anything. This is just, but one thing I will say, two things about this, and this, get it right, so if you two have got it right. One, use light. Use the slimline. It's not because you think you're on a diet or whatever, it's just nicer, it's lighter, it's drier. So always use the slimline tonic. And the other one is, apart from avoiding plastic and saving the world, you want to open your tonic so it's nice and fresh and fizzy every time. So little cans, or failing that, a fairly small glass bottle. Fever Tree do that glass bottle, which you'll do if it's 1 or 2, maybe 3 gin and tonics, but it's a small bottle, so not plastic, something you can open, so it's nice and fizzy like that. And then with all the ice, you want it. I suppose, yeah. What's the measure? 3 to 1. 3 to 1 is a weak one. 2 to 1 is a strong one, and they're both good. But I think it's like in the old days. I think they were trying to hide the flavour of the gin. You don't want to do that. You want them to meet in the middle. You want the tonic to celebrate the gin and bring it forward. So that's a gin and tonic classic. Very straightforward, but it's really important. Yeah, loads of ice, not lemon, lime. And the reason I think it's important is I think when people, quite rightly, when they get excited about doing a good gin and tonic, they start riffing and doing something thrilling and jazzy, and that's great. But I don't need that, I just want a really good gin and tonic. And I only found that out because I'd been thinking it was this miserable drink. We went to a friend's house for dinner and they'd made us gin and tonics without asking. And they handed them to us as we walked in. And I was like, oh, thanks, that's very kind of you. How lovely, a gin and tonic. And then had that kind of reverse bad Christmas present effect where I went, thanks, I'm sure it'll be delicious. Oh, thank you, I love you. So it's a really good thing. I've been making it ever since. But straightforward. You can build on that if you like. If you're more, if you've got a gin palate that's more sophisticated than mine, you might, for example, like a Hendrick's, which is much grassier, much kind of wheatier tasting gin. In which case, get a bit of cucumber in there, but cut it big, not a thin slice, a bit of a wedge of cucumber, so it's kind of giving up, got not a lot of surface area, but giving up a lot of liquid into the drink. So, and that tastes, yeah, a bit more grassy, a bit more green. And also, Tanqueray itself, they do a stronger, more expensive one called, is it stronger? It's probably just brewed better. I don't know how come it's better, it just costs more and it tastes amazing. It's Tanqueray 10. And that's probably my favourite gin. Sorry, you're great too. And I do that with a wedge of grapefruit. And I'm not just making it up. As a bar guy told me that stuff, and I was like, yeah, but it's delicious. So, yes, start with lime and Tanqueray, then, or if you fancy a Hendrick's, get some cucumber in there. And if you've got an extra tenner, then for goodness sake, get yourself some Tanqueray 10 and chuck a wedge of grapefruit in it. And yeah, do it in a nice tumbler, old school. Yeah, a little tumbler, long drink, plenty of ice. Put more ice in it if it runs low. Meanwhile, this has been steeping in here for ages, and that's what's going to be the basis of our Gibson. It's going to work well in a small glass because it won't be as long as a vodka martini, because I always make the vodka martini so dirty with all the blooming olive water in there. So this hasn't got any olive water in it, it's just got, this is classic martini right now. Lots and lots of gin, tiny bit of vermouth. And then, to make it a Gibson, all you got to do is put a little pickled onion in it. And silver skin pickled onion. Let's do silver skin pickled onion. Well, luckily, I found some locally. We had these in the fridge. They're kind of from some kind of nightmare Christmas ploughmans. And they've been in the fridge since, well, last century. So we're not going to use those because it would basically turn it into a ploughman's lunch. So a little silver skin pickled onion in the top. I don't know, you know, make it dirty. It's not. I don't want it dirty. I don't want it made with vinegar. But of course, it is bringing vinegar, so it's got a bit of vinegar in there with it, and there it goes. And that is a Gibson, and it is really classy, really, really smooth, and great. If you want to play chess with the best, I'm going to sip on one of these and you know start looking at the ceiling. So that's a Gibson. That's a gin and tonic, and I hope that's helped. Let's do this again.